Well, I'm not entirely sure if everyone saw that because I'm having some connection issues, which doesn't make any sense. But this singular photo lives rent free in my head. Every single time it's a new season, this is what I think about. This is the Patrick Mahomes that I see. It's basically a loading for everything that I want to happen, that we think is going to happen, and for the mentality that the Chiefs have. It's just loading, right? This is it. The final off-season note has been rung. The first week of the NFL season is upon us, and this is Chiefs Chargers week. Welcome in, everybody, to the RGR Football Channel. My name is Daniel Harms, senior film analyst, and Ryan is currently in the air on a plane doing stuff because he's an awesome dad and taking his kids around the country. But I am here. I've got this held down because I don't think you guys could go a first NFL season week without a Q&A. We have some things going on, as you can see. Setup's getting there. I got to get this TV out of the way, but overall, we are working to make things happen for you guys. And I hope you're enjoying your Monday, your Labor Day, the very last day, maybe before some of your kids go to school. I labeled this as the Chiefs need this to go right on top of the Q&A because realistically speaking, they need the offense, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, to go right in the first week. The reason I say that is because, well, you've got Jalen Royals an injury, you've got a Rashee Rice suspension to deal with, and overall, we know that they have to come out of the gate hot. We've seen Jesse Minter, last year with the Chargers, and he did some good creative things against the Chiefs and held them in check for the most part. They hit that deep ball to Xavier Worthy in large part out of sheer will. They willed it to happen, and they did make it connect there for a touchdown. But overall, this has to be the game that not only you showcase what you can do without Rashee Rice, without a rookie, a new offensive line, but a mentality showcasing what this season is going to be about. It's not about seeing what we've seen over the past 2 years, just taking the checkdowns here, creating some yards after the catch, being conservative on offense. This is exactly what they need to be. The preseason showcased a little bit of it from Patrick all the way down to Bailey Zappi from the mentality aspect, attacking down the field. But this is now the regular season on the national stage, only game on Friday in Brazil. If you guys have watched The Kingdom, you know how big a deal it is for growth around the country, or at least it was. And getting to see how a lot of this plays out for the Chiefs. They have fans everywhere. I imagine they are going to travel very well to Brazil as well. So, all that being said, the offense needs to go right in Brazil against this Chargers team. It usually plays them tough. And again, Minter's going to have something in the bag. How can they adjust? So I'm excited to see what happens here. But overall, you guys, it's going to be a little bit of a different segmented week, obviously, with Friday being the day that the game is. We'll probably look to have the game plan on Thursday. Ryan and I will talk, figure that out. Again, I would think Thursday makes the most sense. But overall, I'm excited. I know you guys are excited, and this is the Q&A. If you guys are new to this channel, we do this every single Monday. After, it doesn't matter. We always do a Q&A every single Monday. So please, again, if you're new to the channel, hit that sub button, and then let's go ahead and start answering some of these questions we got piled up. Micah, once again, was in the beginning asking all the questions, as he usually does. Is Nadi still a starting level and a NFL defensive tackle level talent? Will defensive tackle Tillery make plays versus the run? So this is obviously a two-part question. In my opinion, no, I don't believe that Derek Nadi is a starting level defensive tackle on any other team that's not named the Kansas City Chiefs. I would say the same thing about Mike Pennell, more of a contributor, a guy that can be in a rotation. But let's remember that the Jets were going to cut Derek Nadi. So maybe that's more along the lines of a fit for what Aaron Glenn wants in their defense, but he is basically just a nose tackle and a depth nose tackle, in my opinion. Tillery, he can make plays versus the run. It's not going to be what you see from your typical defensive tackle where he's taking up double teams and he's standing in there creating that leverage and then shedding blocks. He's a gap shooter. So if he's in there and he's playing more one tech, look for him to shoot gaps, get in the backfield, look for TFLs. That's more of what I expect to see from Jerry Tillery versus the run. I don't really think he's going to be a guy, again, who's just going to be Mike Pennell or Derek Nottie of the past to be able to do some of those things, even Colin Saunders of the past as well. So it's a different style, but we know that they want to be able to get one negative play. This is, again, I've said this so many years now. Steve Spagnuolo's objective is to get one negative play against the run and then just to attack the quarterback through many different ways. So at the end of the day, how they're going to affect the run game is going to be a little bit different than in past, because I still think the Mike Pennell was a better defensive tackle than Derek Nottie. Let's not forget they let him go for a reason. So this was effectively more of a backup plan, I guess, to trade for a guy that they effectively let go. Still very, very weird to me. Mike has got another one here. Besides Royals, what wide receivers will be inactive on Friday? I would expect probably Brownlee. I think that he's the only guy that's going to be inactive. We'll see, again, as the injury report goes along, how Hollywood Brown is progressing. But overall, I think they're going to keep 6 active on. No, I think all 6 would be active. If they're going to have all those guys, especially if you don't have Rashee Rice now on the roster, I would think all 6 receivers that are on will be active because they want to be able to access different parts of the field. With Thornton, I think you could also have Remigio out there from time to time, but he's probably going to be more of a special teams player. And then Brownlee, more of a red zone threat, but he could be as well. So it's going to be an evolving situation. But at the end of the day, I think that everyone not named Jalen Royals will be active. All right. I see this right here. We'll go ahead and get this out of the way too. Mike Pennell ended up on the Bengals practice squad. He is going to be, from what I gather, he wasn't very happy with how things ended in Kansas City. I wouldn't be either, because it felt like this was just, they were going through the season with Mike Pennell as the defensive tackle, as the nose tackle, as that guy. And they basically did not like what they see or what they saw in training camp and preseason. And they decided to get younger. And again, Derek Nottie is younger in terms of age. I wouldn't necessarily say he's younger in terms of injury or tread on the tires. Mike Pennell, for what he has been in Kansas City, just doesn't really. They're both relatively the same player. I think Mike Pennell is a better run defender now still than Derek Nottie is, but again, more the injury stuff that took it away from him. So it's a weird thing. All right. Micah, this one's pretty easy. They've had chips in the balls for years already. Can you explain the new ball chip technology that spots the ball? Will there be broadcast graphics like in tennis and baseball? Yeah, they're going to have stuff on the screen. They're going to show you. They might not do it every single time. I don't know for a fact if they're going to show it to you every single time. I would imagine they do, because that's how NFL and everything like that works. So I think overall, it's going to bring you up a screen, and it's just going to be a virtual image of where the football is on the field. That's all it works. And it's just showing you where that football is in accordance with the chip in the football and on the field. So it's a pretty simple operation they're going to be running for that. We'll see how long it takes, because they did have some fumbles with the VR technology in the preseason. We'll see if they have kind of changed some of that up. Hopefully they do. Jeremy, this one gave me some PTSD, so I appreciate that. Last season, the Chiefs had 4 plays of over 40 yards. Over under of 8 of them this season. So, again, this has been one of the things that we've all wanted to see. We've all wanted the deep ball to come back, explosive plays. I don't know if I can go over on 8 of them, because I need the run game to show me something. That's the big thing here. If you can get Brashard Smith more involved in the run game and create some explosives, I'd probably be more up to the task of saying, yeah, sure, we can see some explosives, some 40 or plus yard gains in that regard, but generating them just through the air, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that to this point. So I'm interested. I want to see what happens. I want to see the mentality early on, and I might be able to answer this question more confidently after Friday if we see the mentality, if we see that not just Patrick's ability to throw the football down the field, but the offensive line's ability to open up holes, create some explosives, even for a Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, then we might be able to see a little bit more in that regard. So I'm thinking I have a better idea after the first preseason game, because then, or excuse me, the first regular season game, because then I'll be able to actually give you more tangible evidence. Because otherwise, it's just kind of, hope, right? I appreciate that, Jeremy. Gonna ask it again next week so that we have a little bit more. But right now, I would say under, because I haven't really seen anything that tells me they'll be able to continue to do that. So, Lee, what's going on? Nice to see you. It seems like the Chargers will run even more than normal with the left tackle hurt and their new running backs. How can Kansas City counter it with the defensive line that we have and or the scheme? So that's kind of the end all be all, right? That's what this game is going to be about. And obviously, with the game plan video still coming up earlier, I'm not going to give everything away. I'm not going to talk about everything the game plan is. However, this is going to be probably what decides this football game. I'm going to tell you right now, if the Chiefs can't stop the run, it's going to be very difficult to not only win the football game, but be able to get Patrick Mahomes the football and get him back on the field. And again, going back to watching the Kingdom, Trent McDuffie said this defense is all about getting the football back to Patrick Mahomes. That's what this is about. It's all about that. So even though they're not very good at generating turnovers in the grand scheme, I think fumbles they've been able to do. Trent's been very good at, getting some of those fumbles, but they haven't done a great job of generating a ton of 3-and-outs and a ton of interceptions. So if you look at it through that lens, it's going to be important that they find ways to get some splash plays. Now, don't be surprised if we see a little bit of a shift in their mental status for run defense. Last year, we saw, I think, kind of an anomaly with the Chiefs being a very good run defense most of the season. Now, with Jerry Tillery, with Omar Norman Lott, who again I'm very worried about, being not only because of the injury, but because they asked him to put on too much weight. But he's still more of an explosive one tech if he's going to be asked to play one tech. Tillery is trying to be more of a gap shooting guy. You might see them take more chances at shooting gaps and having linebackers get lucky at times. So I'm very interested to see some of that, because we don't really know what the answer is, because I don't know how much Derek Nottie has left for this defense. I don't know. And the fact that he was going to get cut from the Jets does worry me in that sense. So they don't really have a one tech that was going to be on a roster right now. It's a situation that does frustrate me, and obviously a lot of other people as well. It's something that I don't really get. I don't really understand their thought process through this at all. And it makes me feel like they didn't really think it through, which isn't a great situation to be in, Lee. Not trying to be a downer about that, but it's one of those topics that really gets to me sometimes. Steve, how do you expect defensive tackle Zach Pickens to fit in with the Chiefs this year? We have a couple. I think Zach Pickens. Yeah, right here. We also got one from Bradley. Dan, I want to get your opinion on defensive tackle Zach Pickens, and will he be moved to the 53-man roster? Is he better than Mike Pennell? In my opinion, I think better than this point in his career. So that's these two from Steve and Bradley. We'll go ahead and get out of the way together. Thank you guys both for your questions. I think that Pickens is pretty much just a run defender at this point. And again, he was drafted on day 2, and being able to, I think, be a body that they don't have is useful. Well, something that they absolutely need to be able to get that done. And honestly, they're probably going to see what he can do in the regular season. Excuse me, in the on the practice squad, trying to figure out what his best traits are. I don't know if he'll be elevated for the first game of the season, but this is going to be more of a wake-up call. If they get run on, if they get moved in the run game, and he's somebody that will give them more of an option, I definitely think that he'll be moved up sooner rather than later. And he would be a good fit. Again, he would fit exactly what they want next to Chris Jones on rundowns, somebody that can come in and take on double teams, be a big body, someone that doesn't necessarily have to be more than what he is, and a run stuffer. So there is definitely some wiggle room there for him to make this roster, like Bradley's pointing out here. I don't know if he's better than Mike Pennell, specifically what he was last year. I haven't watched a ton of Zach Pickens, to be very honest with you, but I do know that when you get cut as a year 3 or 4 player for the Chicago Bears, who still need defensive tackle help and have needed defensive tackle help. It's not a great spot to be in. So we'll see. I'm again, I want to see what he can do. If he can get elevated, I would have loved to see him in some snaps here and there just to see what he's got right now, because again, change of scenery always matters, and being in this defense with a little bit more asked of him in terms of coming in to work with that mentality, I like to see it. Working next to Chris Jones always helps everyone's stat lines as well. Thank you, Bradley. Thank you, Steve. Olanier, nice to see you. How worried are you that the run defense against the Chargers and Spags' lack of importance to stopping the run? So I don't know if I'm necessarily worried about the lack of importance, because, like I said, Spags is looking for one negative play. That's all he cares about. He just wants one negative play, and once he gets it, he can tee off on the quarterback. He can make things difficult. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. I think it's more about the players being capable of doing that outside of Chris Jones. And again, if the mentality is more of look for a negative play with gap shooting and things like that, I'm okay. I can get there with it. But if it is playing more run defense where the linebackers are able to cleanly get into the backfield and meet running backs at the line of scrimmage, that style of play isn't going to fit in what they currently have on the roster. So I want to, again, get more of an idea of what that's going to look like with the starters throughout a full game before we really know how this is going to work. But like was mentioned earlier, we're going to get a really good feel early on, specifically with all of the running backs that were added to this division. If you guys missed it, I went through the entire division, AFC West, with my buddy Derek Klassen of the Athletic Football Show. Preview for the AFC West. You guys can go check that out. Please do before the opening game. That would be awesome, and I would appreciate it very much. But overall, we're going to see what happens with this running attack-minded AFC West minus the Chiefs, and I think they're going to be okay. I think they will. All right, Chess Master, thank you. I appreciate this question. Any kind of teaching moment is always fun. Can you explain different run concepts, inside zone, outside zone, duo, etc.? What do the Chiefs run? Love the show. Thank you very much. Glad we have as many fans as we do that we can try to explain as best we can to some of these concepts. But overall, the Chiefs at their core, Andy Reid wants to be an outside zone offense. You go back to Jamal Charles, Damian Williams, early on with Jerick McKinnon, they want to run outside zone. So if you think about it, with one running back in the backfield, quarterback under center, and offensive line, everyone steps the same way. Zone concept, inside zone, outside zone, everyone steps the same way. So if it's outside zone left, everyone steps left with their left foot, and they aim off of the right hip of the tackle. So if you're going left, the left tackle, the body language of the running back will be aimed at that tackle. He'll be aiming off of that. So he'll be looking for cutback lanes. If you have linebackers that are over committing to that outside zone look, you'll have some cutback lanes, some natural cutback lanes that he can take advantage of. For inside zone, typically shoulders for the running back will stay square to the offensive line. You won't see a lot of movement. You'll have aiming for an A gap either side. You're going to press for the most part. Again, everyone's still stepping with that same foot. Running back is going to press and then look to bounce, or just you see offensive linemen hit second double teams to the next level, get on some linebackers, and you're going to read that way. So a zone is all everyone moving in the same direction, trying to see if you can create some cutback lanes. Duo looks like inside zone because it can often mirror that same feel where everyone's taking the same step, but oftentimes you have one offensive lineman that's taking a different one. Duo is trying to create as many double teams across an offensive line as you possibly can. 2, 3, depending on where everyone is positioned. So that's all duo is. It's a power, but it's more vertical. You're trying to get more vertical push, not sideline to sideline push, if that makes any sense to you. So, like I said, the Chiefs want to run more outside zone. They've been far more inside and power concept, which they've done a lot more single back power, which is where you take a guard, you pull him to one side and have him kind of lead a block for the running back. So there's lots of different things that you can run, but the Chiefs typically want to be outside zone. Whew. Lots of information there. Hope that was digestible for you. Swag Boy, what's going on, man? Mahomes stat line week 1. What's your prediction? And I think Pacheco has a big game. I think my wife is commenting about spiders. Yeah, I see him. I see the spider. He's outside though. I'm not worried about it. So, no, it's not. There's no screen there. So, Mahomes, yeah, in the first game against this defense, I think can absolutely score. I think he's going to have 2 passing touchdowns, probably around 255 passing yards. That's what I'm going to expect. I still think they can run the football on this team. I want them to be a little bit more balanced. I would love to see Pacheco having a big game because, again, if he can do that, then Patrick can get to 250 yards and be perfectly comfortable throwing 2 touchdowns. I think that's probably what I see, Swag. All right. You got another one here from Bradley. When it comes to the game plan this week, like I said, we'll get to the game plan in that video on Thursday, probably, and see the Chargers. I think that there's some weaknesses in the secondary play. A lot of tight zone and pass rush is not that strong and needs to go the quick pass game early. So I think we gotta feel out. Jesse Minter is going to have something new for the Chiefs. He did it last year where he's put something on tape against Patrick in week 5 or week 4 that he didn't see before, and it got him with a sack. So there's going to be something different. I still believe I'm with you that the pass rush won't be that strong. However, Josh Simmons in his first NFL real game going against Khalil Mack can't be fun, specifically in the run game. We'll get a good feel for what he's able to do in that game. Again, him and Kingsley are going to grow as a duo together. I think running the football at them would be a good idea just to see what they can do. But overall, we know that the talent level in the Chargers defense, I think, can be taken advantage of. And one of the things that you can do, again, quick passes, because once you start hitting those to the outside, you create some yards, you get mentally thinking second level players, third level players trying to get out there, and then you can open up the seams a little bit. And I think that's still where the Chiefs want to attack. But look for Xavier Worthy to have a big game. I still think Tim and Travis Kelce, that's why they are both on the thumbnails for this video. I think this is going to be a big game for both of them. We just got to see what happens. I still think that they will be big focal points in the game, much like they typically are. I think that Travis early on is going to get more targets than he would normally with the Rashee Rice suspension. So hopefully we can see the more svelte Travis Kelce have some more explosiveness than he had last season. If you're watching the Kingdom, if you have watched it, he looks noticeably bigger last year, which did not help him in the slightest. Another one here from Swag Boy. I want Pat to have a monster year really bad. We all do. We all want him to have a fantastically tremendous MVP season. That would be great. Teams don't fear him like they used to, and I want that to change this year. We all want that to change. I think the biggest thing here is that we typically fear to throwing the football down the field. Defenses fear Patrick Mahomes because of what he's now doing pre-snap. Everyone talks about him being a check down merchant, him being a guy who only gets the ball out quickly. The reason he gets the ball out quickly is, one, he knows exactly what the defense is doing and where the open receiver is going to be. He's often right. And when he's able to do that, you can see how quickly the ball gets open in his space. He's able to replace blitzes with throws. He's identifying everything pre-snap and making it easy on himself and on his offense. Ideally, that's what you want. You want players to be given the opportunity to make things happen in space whenever you can. When the ball comes out quickly, it limits pressures, limits sacks, limits injuries. So all those things do take into consideration that really the past couple of years have prepared Patrick Mahomes for being the best quarterback in football. Once again, when you can add the deep element, it will create more space underneath for Rashee Rice, for Travis Kelce, for Juju Smith-Schuster, for Jalen Royals when he comes back. So I think all of this really comes to a point where, yes, it's good that they're able to create positive expected points added, EPA, with yards after catch, with short passes, being able to exploit defenses that way. However, they need to be able to attack the football or attack defenses down the field. And when you can't do that, it does limit what you can do. And so while they were still effective last year, they were still efficient, they were still able to generate long drives, things like that. You want to see them putting not just fear into the defense, but making it unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. That's I think more of what this needs to be in 2025. Thank you, Swag. Kansas, Oxalotl, thank you for the 2. Can you feel it? Friday night. If again, I'm going to probably talk about this a lot this year because I can't stand the Eastern time zone. I wish I was back in the Pacific time zone. I lived in California for 7 years. It was beautiful. Football started at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was great. My wife and I would go to a bar. We would have some wings. Again, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock like this. It was the perfect day. And Sunday Night Football started at 5 o'clock. Like it's how football should be viewed, in my opinion. And now, I mean, we're talking 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock? No. I don't worry. I will be there for every single post-game show. I'll do the whole thing. I will be feeling it the next day. I can guarantee you that, Oxlal. Thank you very much for the support. Terry, thank you for the question, man. Sad Pennell went and sided with the Bengals. Yeah. I'm not necessarily sad about it. It seems a little petty. Because he just didn't like what he did, what happened with his end in Kansas City. So it is what it is. And again, it looks like the plan for them is to ramp him up through the preseason or through the regular season on the practice squad and then bring him up to be a contributor. I think that's the big thing here is the Chiefs, on top of wanting to get younger, did not want him to just be a contributor, even though they probably could have used him as a contributor with Derek Nottie. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. It's all right. We'll get through this together, Terry. Jeremy, thank you very much, man. Nice to see you. Dan, I feel like Xavier is going to be wide receiver 1 by the end of the year. What say you? I would love if you were right, but I think you are wrong. When Rashee Rice comes back, the offense will be funneled through him. And not only will it be funneled, he will be the number 1 receiver going forward. He'll take over the Travis Kelce role. When Travis Kelce retires this year, guys, this was the writing was on the wall. He didn't want to go out in that Super Bowl. He just got engaged to Taylor Swift. This is very much we are all aboard for one last ride, guys. I've already I gave her the ring. It's locked up. We're good to go. Like, we are going to get another one and we're going to sail off into the sunset. That's exactly what this should be. And after that, Xavier Worthy will be the number 2 to Rashee Rice, who again is doing all that with Travis Kelce. He learned from him. He's learning with Pat. I think that's what's going to happen. But I'd love it. I would love if that would be the case. However, I don't really see it happening. Saw this one earlier from KT. Do you have any interest in Alvin Kamara? I mean, not really. It's not because I don't like Alvin Kamara, but it's more about the fact that he's older. The Chiefs just made a statement about how they want to get younger, and he's still going to be kind of expensive. Let me look up his contract, because the only way you're going to be able to make that work is if the Saints eat some of that contract money. So he is still under contract for 2025 this year and 2026, where he'll be making $11 million next year. $11 million. I have no interest in that, personally. I love the player. I have no interest in that contract. Not in the slightest. All right. Let me find some of these questions here. You guys, if you guys are new to the channel, please, any questions you guys have, I will answer as many as I can. But make sure you put question marks in front of them, or I cannot typically get them out of here, because it's hard for me to do 2 things at once right now. Michael, I'm also on the East Coast. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. All right. So I did, and right now everything is fine. It didn't like that I was trying to watch the football game at the same time as doing a live stream. I just wanted to see Bill Belichick's team at the same time I was doing this. So that's all. It's fine now. We have no problems with it. It just had a little freeze. No worries. All right. Oh, I am hardwired. I am. We are hard. I have the router in here, and my computer is hardwired, buddy. I made sure that that was not going to be an issue this time. No problems with that. All right. I think I got all those questions. All right. Keeping up here with Bradley. I feel calm about the game against the Chargers, and and our offense specifically for the Chiefs just got to play our game defensively, stop their best playmakers, stop the run. Go Chiefs! Couldn't agree more, Bradley. And I can't wait to do the pregame show for you guys. Terry, how's it going? Good to see you, one of our members. And don't forget, you guys, you can always join down here somewhere to the memberships. I promise you, I will be having, I will record a rant for this week. It'll probably go up this weekend because the game's on Friday with it being all weird and stuff. We'll have a members video for you guys. All you got to do is upgrade to the rookie members and above, and you get access to Ryan's rants, my rants, and that's really what we're all here for, right? We're all here for that stuff. How good are the Chargers this year? Personally, I don't believe the Chargers are going to be very good this year. I think that their offense can be good. They've already sustained some injuries, and I love Justin Herbert, but at the end of the day, they're asking Trey Harris. I like Lad McConkey. It's a lot of young players at the receiver position to hold an offense up. Keenan Allen, who's now back to be able to hold up this offense. And I'm a big fan of Marion Hampton. But if you guys are interested in how I feel about the Chargers, on top of this, as well as what Derek Klassen thinks, you guys can go check out the AFC West preview show that I did last week on Friday. It dropped. You can check that out. But overall, I think they're going to have a down year this year. I think that the Broncos will be above them in the division. Oh, this is a good one from Bradley. Dan, would you add Jabril Peppers to the Chiefs' secondary room? Yes. I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat. And the reason I say that is because he's done everything in the New England Patriots defense. He's played single high. He's a punt returner. He's a guy who can play in the box. He's athletic enough to do anything asked of him. But the fact that the Chiefs have not added him to this point suggests that they're not going to. I would, because I think he's good enough to warrant it and makes your secondary room better. It just doesn't feel like the Chiefs are interested, which, I don't know. That's all I got, man. I would, but I would absolutely do it, man. I absolutely would. I think it would be a lot of fun. Typical. What are the Xavier Worthy expectations? It seems like a lot of non-Chiefs fans are out on him for this for some reason. Am I missing something, or are they just not balling the horse? Oh yeah, man. So I think that a lot of people saw in the first season of Xavier Worthy what they wanted to see. If they didn't think he was going to have a great year, they looked at that first, couple months of him trying to figure out the offense with Patrick Mahomes and said, yeah, this guy just doesn't get it. And they refused to watch the second half of the season where the Chiefs stripped some things back, obviously, and they helped him learn. They helped him get to that second page and helped him understand where Patrick wants him. That's why we saw so many out routes, so many timing routes, and ability to get him the football in different ways on drag routes, things over the middle of the field. So we're going to find out more about Xavier Worthy this year. Honestly, we're going to find out more about him in the first 6 weeks of the season, about what he can handle. The fact that he said himself that he's not thinking as much. When you can just play at a guy with his speed, we are talking about a vastly different outcome for the season, for his season, than I think that people should be expecting. So I think that he can have an incredible season. I believe so. We're going to have to, again, kind of see how the targets get divvied up. But overall, Xavier can do it all. He literally can. He is a good route runner. He's a deep threat. He can give you yards after the catch. He set the Chiefs rookie record for touchdowns last year, if I'm not mistaken. Like he can do it all. He can do everything. So I'm expecting him to be an integral part of the offense, and I think he can score a lot of touchdowns and then finally be the deep threat. And I know it's hard to do this. I know it's hard. Go back and watch the Super Bowl. If you guys have access to NFL Pro, I recommend watching it and watch the all 22. You don't even have to know what to watch. Just him. Just watch Xavier Worthy and watch how many times he was open. You're going to see something that you really like, and that's why I'm telling you he can be a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Typical. Welcome, Duchess of Descent. I appreciate you being here. And one of our members joining it. I really do. I appreciate it. Hey guys, always love the support from anybody, new members here. That's the one thing I think that I love the most about this is that we get to talk ball. We get to share you guys our honest opinions. And when you're here with Ryan, he has his own opinions as well. And that's why we just try to teach and share our knowledge. It's so much fun. It is so much fun. All right. I got some more questions in here. All right. DC Outlaw, are we waiting for next year's first round pick to go for a nose tackle? Honestly, I don't know. It feels an interesting dynamic. However, I do think next year they're going to have to draft a tackle. I've been not just so I'm going to say this with just take a little bit of take it with a grain of salt. When they draft defensive tackles, it frustrates me specifically because they want guys that fit their actually when they take defensive linemen. If you look at FAU, they asked him to put on weight and to be better against the run, which made him a worse pass rusher. We are already seeing it with Omar Norman Lott. They asked him to put on weight, and I believe it contributed to his ankle injury, and he's playing out of position. If you draft players and try to put square pegs into round holes, you will create failures. It's simple. It's a fact. So if he plays at one tech at what 290 pounds, higher than that, 300 pounds, whatever he's at right now, I don't actually know. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. If you want him to play one tech, let him play at what weight he's comfortable. But I believe that they are doing him a disservice by putting on as much weight as he has, and it's already shown that the injury is there, which I don't like. So I don't think they're going to draft a defensive tackle in the first round. However, day 2 next year, be prepared. Would not be shocked. Scott, nice to see you, man. Week 1 surprise game ball goes to surprise game ball. Interesting. So going back to week 2, like 3 or 4 years ago when Jalen Watson had that interception against Justin Herbert in the red zone, I think we could see a defensive back if we see some crazy stuff from Spags, a blitz off the edge that gets him to throw the football into the waiting arms. I think Trent McDuffie finally getting the monkey off the back in terms of interceptions last year definitely helps. I'm going to say Trent McDuffie. I'm going to say he has some passes defense. He maybe causes a fumble. So I think surprise game ball could be going to Trent McDuffie getting an interception or a fumble, a turnover of some kind that helps the Chiefs on their way to winning, Scott. Not a surprise in the grand scheme of having he's a really good player. We all know that. More of people probably would think that would be an offensive player getting that. All right, Kevin. Dan, do you see Herbert being rusty since he took 0 snaps in the preseason? I think he fumbles on his first Tanner Wheelhouse hit. I don't think he's going to fumble it, but I wouldn't be shocked if there were some rust moments. Like it happens for everybody. It happens for everybody at some point. Maybe the first drive, the first 15 are fine. Maybe after that is where we see some of it, after the defensive adjustments. So personally, I think they're going to run the football, run play action, do a lot of that stuff. The second drive they have is what I would think that they're going to have some of the miscommunications thing where they have to adjust to what the Chiefs are doing after their adjustments. So I do think that you could see some of those. And if they are, they'll probably be on the second drive But I'm going to keep an eye out, though, Kevin. That's a good point. Red, welcome in. Nice to see you tonight. Do you think Andy needs to hit the gates fast and attack to get the Chargers out of the run game? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be his mentality. If he came out on the very first play and threw the ball deep, and I'd kind of love it. I would kind of love it. That's under center, 13 personnel, play action pass, have Xavier Worthy going down the field. That sounds like fun, Red. So you may have talked me into it. Andy Reid typically is very predictable with his stuff, where I'm going to run the ball here. We're going to get Patrick into a quick pass here, get him comfortable. But if he just came out and said 13 personnel, we're going to throw the ball down the field with Xavier Worthy, that sounds fun. I hope so. Now I want that to happen. Another one here from Scott. Any scheme changes on defense we should expect? The only thing that I'm looking for is what the defensive linemen do. If we see some more stunts, we see some more games, maybe some run stunts. If you guys don't know what a stunt is, typically, if you look at one side of the offensive line from center to tackle, and you have a defensive tackle and a defensive end, one of them will shoot a gap. So let's say right here, defensive tackle, and you have defensive end. You have the defense tackle shooting a B gap, right, in between the guard and the center, or excuse me, the guard and the tackle. And then you have the defensive end fake, like they're going to go around, but then they loop this way. That's typically a stunt. You can do the same thing with linebackers. You can send a defense tackle into a gap, and you can loop a linebacker around. So a lot of different things that I think that they should be doing more with stunts in games, specifically against the run. If you're not going to have a real nose tackle, especially someone who maybe doesn't hold up with the injury history that Derek Nutty has, maybe you see more stunts in games up front that allow guys like Jerry Tillery, Omar Norman-Lott, even Chris Jones to get into the backfield quickly and then get some of those TFLs. That's really the only thing that I'm looking for, Scott. Charlie, nice to see you. Not sure how much this has been talked about, but do you have any thoughts on traveling closer to game day rather than early in the week? Not sure if leaving last week was even an option or not. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people having some opinions on this. I don't know a good answer for it, to be very honest with you. As somebody who has not traveled that far a ton in my life, I don't have a lot of experience with that either. But there's a differing opinion among NFL coaches how to do it too. So we'll kind of see, right? We're going to kind of feel it out, see what happens. The Chiefs didn't have any issues when they traveled to Germany, in my opinion, from watching the game. So I think that I trust their judgment in this process. But like I said, I don't have much experience myself. When Ryan comes back, maybe you guys can ask him on the post-game show, because he travels a lot more than I do and further than I do. So maybe he'd have a better answer for you. Make sure to tune into the post-game show after the game as well to maybe ask that and see if he has a better answer for you. Wink, what's going on? Can Rice practice with the team during the week, or is he out of the building for the suspension? Chat can answer if you know. Yeah, I'm sure that you did get a good answer from the chat because they're very informed. They know what they're talking about. But no, during suspension, you cannot be at the facility at all. So he won't be able to be back until he is reinstated by the NFL, which sucks. All right. Another one here from Lee Mosby. Given our left side are good at run blocking, will we run more, and will our running backs combine for 100 rushing yards in the first game? 100 rushing yards. So I think this is a good thing. Like my prediction for Patrick Mahomes' stats earlier, about 255 yards, around two passing touchdowns, combined with 100 rushing yards total. So yes, I do believe so. I believe that you can see them combining for over 100 yards. I think Pacheco probably gets the lion's share of the work. I also think that you might see some Brashard Smith just like touch passes. They don't qualify as rushes, but maybe some jet sweeps, things like that. Different ways to attack a defense with rushes in different different scenarios. So yeah, I think they absolutely can. It wouldn't shock me to see them really try to run that. We didn't see any pullers in the regular season, in the preseason either. I do expect them to get one or both of Josh Simmons and Kingsley Suamataia out on the move. It's very important for them to activate in the run game, not only with that, but with misdirection as well. If you pull a guy like Josh Simmons one way or the other, you're going to get linebackers to adjust to that, to react to it, and you can run some misdirection off of it. So I think that they absolutely can rush for 100 yards total. All right. Daniel says, I heard from Ryan that Royals will be active. Is that still the case, or is he out for Friday's game? I have not heard confirmed anything. The only thing that I have seen are some videos of him at practice where he's not in pads. So he's not practicing. At least I don't believe he practiced today. We'll see, but I don't know. I think out of an abundance of caution, Andy Reid will make him an inactive for game day just to make sure he's fully ready to go. Because you don't want to rush somebody into playing a little bit here or there when maybe their body isn't fully ready. And that's why we were so kind of if, ands, or buts about Josh Simmons. Is he going to be ready? We didn't really get to know until he was on the field during training camp. Thank you, Daniel. Tad, thank you for the question. Why don't the Chiefs run more I formation? Run game would be better and more play action. Shotgun is a run game killer. Yeah. You're speaking to my heart here, Tad, when it comes to the run game. I've been asking for the Chiefs to run just more under center. I don't even care if it's I formation. I just want to see under center, single back. Give me more of that allows them to not only run more play action, but run it more effectively. Now that Patrick is entering the year 8, right? We're in year 8 of Patrick Mahomes' career. He can turn his back to the defense. He's processes defensive shifts quickly enough now that you don't have to worry so much about that. So I've been arguing for it. I've been asking for it, and they refuse to do it. And specifically, outside zone from shotgun is awful. It forces running backs to basically take the outside or one of the gaps from left or from right to left, and they don't create cutback lanes because they physically can't get there. Unless you are Saquon Barkley or Bijan Robinson, the elite of the elite athletes at running back, you can't create those cutback lanes because of body positioning. So it's frustrating. It's one of my biggest pet peeves about the Chiefs offense, and specifically when they tried to have Clyde Edwards-Helaire run outside zone out of shotgun, like that frustrates me to no end. And yes, I did move. We live in Ohio now. So once everything gets up, I'm sure in the next week or two, I'll have this all figured out and up and running, and we don't have to worry so much about anything else. And again, I have new internet. So with me being like actually hardwired into the internet now, hopefully we have less issues with that. But almost all the way moved in. Just some little things here and there to put together and to unpack. I appreciate you asking. Scott, to the chat. Oh, I saw the 3 questions, so I got it. In John Elway's mind, did the Chiefs pick Noddy over Pennell? I wish I had a good answer to that question, Scott. I really do. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. It's, we're going to be moving a lot. We're going to be here for a year and a half, and then we're going somewhere else. Don't know yet, but just take it as we go, right? I would be remiss if I didn't say hello to our good moderator here, Gary, as well as FLDB. They're both in the house helping out tonight. And do as Gary says. You guys, 332 of you in the chat, just take 2 seconds, hit that like button. Would really help us out getting out there to the rest of the Chiefs Kingdom and putting us into the algorithm. As you guys know, YouTube is not fun when it comes to the algorithm. They change it pretty much weekly. But one thing that always works is hitting that like button. We would very much appreciate it. Info, nice to see you, man. Why is the team higher on Connor than Hicks? I thought Hicks was better last year, and PFF, I believe, had him as their best safety. Seems like a weird Sorensen, Thornhill repeat. They're not. They just want Hicks to do more than they want Shamari Connor to do. I think that they're higher on Connor than a guy like CRW because of his ability to fit the run. That's a thing that we're seeing a lot more with nickels. They want them to be able to be on the field. So it's like they're playing nickel, but it's like they're playing base. While Connor can't really help you as a guy that can actually cover slot receivers, he can cover tight ends, and he will and can fit in the run, which helps them overall. So specifically this year, now that they still don't have real run stopping defensive tackles, you're probably still going to see a lot of Tramari Connor in the nickel because of that right there, because he can help in the run game. We've seen it. Go back to the Atlanta Falcons game in week 5 last year, where he was uber physical. Like, he was able to get underneath tight ends into tackles' faces. He had no problem doing that and being a contributing member of the defense in the run game. So just, I think that there's always something that you can poke. Like, I'm not a Shamari Connor fan when it comes to playing against real slot receivers, which we see it can be a matchup problem. But I do think that there is a good reason that he's out there. He is a good football player. And again, he's very good against the run for a guy who is a safety / big nickel. So there is something to it, but they want Jaden Hicks to be able to do whatever else the defense asks of him, much like they're going to be asking of him, like they asked of Justin Reed. Zach, Dan, where did you live before moving? I lived in at Whiteman Air Force Base, which is about an hour, 20 minutes from Kansas City. Lived there for 4 years. And before that, I lived in Nebraska for 3. So, and then, California for 7 before that. I've been around a little bit, but we're doing a little Midwest tour and slowly moving, our way east, which hopefully we redirect the other way. Because again, Central, Mountain Zone, East Pacific time, something that's not the East Coast. That is really all I care about in terms of time zones. I'm not going to complain too much, just about the time. If it ends up we're still in the in the East Coast after this one, it is what it is. I will live, possibly. Weston, since there's no deal between McDuffie and the Chiefs, do you see the Chiefs trading him for draft capital because the Chiefs cap is going to get expensive in 2026? So I personally don't believe so. I personally don't. I think that he is an integral part of the defense, part of the youth, not just the youth, but one of the elite players. And I firmly believe that you don't trade away your elite players, much like the Dallas Cowboys just did with Micah Parsons. I don't think you do that. Okay. And then they signed Deron Bland on top of it. They made bad money moves. Okay. They didn't get drastically better, even with the first round picks that they got. I don't know, man. It's a weird situation there, but I'm firmly in the pay your good players. You find a way to get it done. And we know the cap is going to continue to go up, even with the stuff that they have. And don't forget that Patrick is going to most likely rework his contract. The cap hits that you see from Patrick Mahomes will not be the same going forward. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I don't think that we're going to see an issue where they trade him unless there's an injury. Again, we didn't see the L'Jarius Sneed trade coming, but there was a pre-existing injury that we now know. It's a good thing they moved him, right? I don't think that's happening with Trent McDuffie, though. Welcome in, Outlaw. Thank you for joining the memberships. I appreciate that. Ryan appreciates it. You guys, thank you so much for the support as usual. You guys are always so great. So continuing to add more members, you guys, I'm excited. I'll get you some more member content for sure. Thank you for supporting the channel, DC. I saw this comment. Where did it go? So this is true. We're not going to be here longer than 1.5 years. My wife has a heart out. She's in school. Like there's nothing they can do to make her stay longer. It's not even true. That's fine. She's not going to be here longer. Nope. We're not doing this. We are not doing that. Nikki, why do the Chiefs draft guys like Omar Norman Lott and then try to change them into something else? Why not just draft what they want? Because they want the upside of the player that they watch on tape, but also someone that fits in what they want. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They can't do that with players. Again, you can't always do that. unless you are drafting like a top 15 player, a special athlete, you can't do that. You physically can't do it. So maybe they'll learn one of these times that, hey, he's really good at what he does. And again, if you actually go back and watch the breakdown that I did of him, there's upside for him to get pretty good as a run stopper from the size that he was. Personally, I think that they brought in Jerry Tillery and then they were like, oh, you know, we need a different skill set because we have a lot of the same with Chris Jones, with Jerry Tillery, with Omar Norman Lott. And they turned to the young guy and said, hey, go ahead and do this. I don't like it. It feels like they ran into too many. We can't do this. We had to have a backup plan, and they didn't have a backup plan. It's kind of frustrating, right? It's weird. Once I get a better answer for you, Nikki, I will. But until then, it's they want to have their cake and eat it too. And how many times has that worked out for them when it comes to draft picks? Hasn't really worked out. All right, info, long shot. But if after a handful of games they really like what they're seeing from Royals, Thornton, and Rice is coming back, and Bryce is coming back, where they consider trading Brown at the trade deadline. I mean, if you're trading Hollywood Brown, he's probably having a good year, right? Don't know if you want to waste that personally, just because you got a guy coming back. I think you want to try to make it work. If they like what they're seeing from Thornton, I think they probably want to trade. I don't know. Trades are tough in season. It would be nice to get some draft capital from a guy like Hollywood Brown. However, as it stands right now, he's still like wide receiver 3 on the roster. So it's a tough ask, but I also think doing that even with Rice coming back later in the season, you would be risking ruining some of the chemistry that they have going on. And by slotting everybody up a little bit, you might end up losing some from Thornton, losing some from Xavier, losing some from Rashee Rice or Juju Smith-Schuster. I think that you want to keep the pecking order the way that it is, especially if the chemistry is good. You really don't want to try and mess that up as best as possible. That's how I feel about it. Now, if they did, I wouldn't be mad if they were able to get some draft capital from it. I think that would be, best case scenario, right? But overall, I think I kind of feel like you want to keep that chemistry going and you want to have depth, right? You want to be able to count on these guys if somebody else gets hurt. So I'm probably more in that bucket. Joe E, can the Chiefs stop the Chargers run game? I mean, they can. There's a couple ways you can do it, is forcing them out of it by going up 3 touchdowns. Like, that's the number one way. Oh, Patrick Mahomes went up and scored 3 touchdowns early on. Oh, we got to stop running the football. We know that Jim Harbaugh is not going to be impacted by the Patrick Mahomes effect. He's going to run the football and do what he can to keep their offense on the field. But if by going down and scoring quick touchdowns again and again and again early first half of the game, well, eventually you have to throw the football. Like, there's just no way that you can do that. So that's one way. But also, I think running more stunts in games up front, getting some more quick penetration from Tillery, from Chris Jones, from Omar Norman Lott. Yes, phrasing. Would be a good way to do it too. Just looking for negative plays in one ways. But if you can maybe blitz off of the backup left tackle side. Now, I think actually Joe Alt's moving to left. So off the right-hand side, that's what I think you might be looking at too. Maybe some nickel blitzes off the right-hand side, maybe get in the backfield a little bit. I think that there's a couple of different ways they can go about it, but they can. I don't know if they will, but I know that they can. Daniel, I kind of talked about Zach Pickens earlier. I think that he can be a good run stopper for this defense, but we got to see him in Kansas City's scheme first. A lot of times we get players in Kansas City that are different from other teams, and Spags doesn't like the way that they operate. So the same with Martin. I have no expectations for Martin coming off of an injury last year and then subsequently getting cut from the Detroit Lions, who need defensive tackle help. So I'm probably just kind of a wait and see on both of these guys. Hopefully we get something. Last couple of questions here, and then I get you guys out for your Monday evening. Tad, why keep Mitchell over Pole or Pinnell? Four string running backs are a dime a dozen, i.e., CEH. I'd love it. I'm mad about this too. Like, I'm legitimately mad about it. Like, I probably shouldn't be. I probably shouldn't be mad, but it's a frustrating thing. And at the end of the day, and I was on radio in Kansas City the other day, and we are at a point where something like this makes us mad. The Chiefs are so successful, but things like this, the margins on roster bubble guys, we get mad about roster bubble guys. And Mitchell makes no sense to keep over a Pole specifically. Pinella, whatever, fine. But Pole specifically, that's what makes me mad is that Pole was a guy you probably could have as a backup tackle for years to come and develop. He played very, very well. So that one frustrates me, and I don't quite understand why they did it. I think that they thought that he could sneak onto the practice squad. And if you look at the waiver wire, only one team put a waiver on him, and it was the Jets. But they were seventh in the order. They knew that they had to wait it out. They got lucky. The Jets got lucky that no one else in front of them did. But overall, if the Jets hadn't done it, he would have made it through the practice squad. So you gamble. You gamble. Gary, thank you for the question, man. Will Pacheco hit 1,000 yards this season? He will not. And it's not a product of him not being good. I think that there's too many backs in the backfield. I think that he's still probably going to be injured a little bit at some point this season. He has not played a year without being injured. It's just the way he plays, the way he runs. And I think that at the end of the day, they're going to be utilizing Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith, even Elijah Mitchell to make sure that he stays healthy because you want him healthy. And if he's healthy, it's a rotational backfield and he doesn't get to 1,000 yards, Gary. Tyler, are you as worried about Jalen Carter lining up against Kingsley as I am? I know I'm looking ahead, but damn, that worries me. So the thing about that is it's not just going to be Kingsley one-on-one against Jalen Carter. They will absolutely be shifting the line towards Jalen Carter. You'll get extra help from Creed. It's going to be running back, go hit in the middle right there, and then go out for your pass. There's a lot of different ways that they can go about it. It's not just going to be a bunch of one-on-ones. At times, sure. But I think that they're going to do what they can to mitigate it, whether that's play action, whether that's jet sweeps. They're going to throw a lot at Jalen Carter to try to make sure it's not just him. But remember, last year, the defense around him was a lot better too on the defensive line. They lost some of those players. So you might have a little bit better chance to mitigate some of those concerns as best you can. I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping. Last two questions here. We got a super chat from Kyle. Thank you very much for the two-man. Dude, you live to Whiteman? I'm from Knobnoster. I'm sorry you're from Knobnoster. But yeah, I lived there for 4 years. We lived on base, which was, now that we are here, a lot nicer than I expected it to be. But overall, it was far from everything. There was nothing there. We had to drive, and I mean, we love to eat out, so we had to drive to Lee Summit like every single weekend, which is a lot of gas, and it was tough. Now that we're here in Dayton, we go to dinner. It's like 20-minute drive or a 5-minute drive, depending on where we want to go. So that part's really nice. But I'm sorry you're from Knobnoster. There's not much there, Kyle. But thank you very much for the support, man. I appreciate you. Last one here from Darkness. Thank you for the 5. So is it just me? But what does Ashton Gelati seem like a rock and roll version of Micah Parsons? And I'm happy you are temporarily settled. Thank you. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the 5 here. I think that you are a little bit overzealous about Ashton Gelati. I think he's going to be a very good effort-based player. I don't know that he's going to give you a lot from the pass rush perspective. You can move him around. Awesome. He plays with a good amount of juice. It's great. I've been very underwhelmed as a pass rusher to this point. So if he can turn into more, that'd be fantastic. Obviously, we'll see more after this season and in the next year where he takes that next year jump. But I'm going to be far more hesitant than a lot of you. So I'm getting it out of the way now. It's going to take a little bit more from Ashton July for me to just turn on and be happy about what the Chiefs did in drafting him in the second round. I didn't like it there, but we'll see. Again, I want to be proven wrong from just about every prospect that I'm low on. Like I want to be. So I hope he's able to do that and that he's able to help the Chiefs not only in the run game, but in the pass rush department as well. Thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight. This is game week. It's here. Finally here. The Chiefs play football that actually matters. It's not a preseason game. It's not training camp. It is a regular season football game. And now we can wash the terrible taste of that Super Bowl out of our mouth with a run at another one. Just remember, since 2020, remember that's the year the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl, right? They won that Super Bowl. They have been in the Super Bowl 5 out of 6 times. 5 out of 6. It's a pretty damn good number. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll have content for you guys on Tuesday as well as Wednesday. Hopefully the game plan for you on Thursday, and then game day on Friday with the post game right after. Please have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.